Hi, this is Shadi, and today I have a very sour footage to share with you. So it is about two soldiers engaging in a fight, and they are both clearly trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And the reason why I call this video BJJ fight and not judo fight, it's because of the approach that they took. The one that is, much more about grappling and taking time, and very much reflective of sport BJJ today. As opposed to today's judo, which is grip, throw, and disengage. So you guys know my stance on the technical heritage and where these techniques and positions came from, but I called it BJJ because, to separate with the expressions of today's sports, jiu-jitsu and judo. So without further ado, let's begin. So here the guy goes for a single leg takedown and tries to run the pipe. The guy grabs the guillotine, flares his elbows and wrists. These guys are clearly trained in BJJ. This is your classical BJJ match starting up. Guy who goes for a single leg and then tries to counter with a guillotine or kimura in a lot of times. So single leg, you would know that this is the bread and butter of takedowns in jiu-jitsu, particularly no-gi. It is very famous. You run the pipe and then you proceed to pass guard, or you can do like a cartwheel flip. Many ways to pass the guard. This is Andre Galvao, one of the greatest champions of the sport. Even back in the day, classical judo had its own single leg takedown variation, Moro Tegari. You hug the leg, you reap it towards you, and then you dive with your shoulders down, slamming them and taking their balance away from them. Continue rolling to pass the guard. So Hadakajime, or guillotine, what we call it today, is also a very classical choke in judo / Japanese jiu-jitsu. This is from the 1905 jiu-jitsu textbook by Sadakazu Oye Nishi. So standing up here, you can do it also from the guard. Various ways to do the guillotine, but nonetheless the technique on the head, on the neck, it is still very much the same. Obviously it has evolved, but the basics are still there. So he reaches in and actually grabs the groin of the guy, and you can see his face immediately change. And in the actual video, you can see how he is actually begging and just immediately gives up, even though he had a great position. So the guy gets on top, establishes knee on belly, grabs the wrists, and then they continue to, verbally yell at each other. And you can clearly see the knee on belly is almost at the solar plexus to establish dominance, control. Knee on belly is also nothing new. Here you can see from the book New Style of Judo by Kanemitsu Yaichibe. You can see it on the right side. It is being established in judo. Back in the day, the Kosen judo, it was a intermediary position to get to a strangle if you are fighting. It can also be used as a pin to control. So first, let's see Mitsuro Kimura use it in order to get to a triangle choke. So here he passes the guard, he puts the knee on the belly and then isolates the arm, and then from there jumps into the triangle choke. So here you can see it. Mitsuro Kimura was actually called Mr. Sankaku because he was very much known for it. Here, one more time in slow motion. You can actually lock the arm as well. He passes guard, Toreando pass, then puts the knee on, establishing control so they don't turn or try to turtle or anything. Isolates the arm, and then from there goes into Sankaku Jime, and then locks it through, takes the head in order to close it. So here you can see the guy turns, and then your classical attack, which is Hadaka Jime. Very basic, yet it always works. The guys here are telling them, hey guys, stop, etc. So when he turns, similar to ground and pound or any type of mount, let's say desperate defense where you actually turn and turtle, a lot of guys take the rear naked choke, or they just can proceed to ground and pound if it's in the cage, so they can actually win the fight. So this Hadaka Jime here you see in the judo demonstration by the Kodokan is actually much different than the one we saw the soldiers do, because this one you can see the forearm is actually parallel to the neck. This is a trachea choke rather than a strangle, where you have your elbow in the middle and you create a V to block the carotid arteries. So the other one was a strangle, the other one is a choke. So the reason why I'm making this video is this is why I prefer judo for self-defense. A lot of people ask me, there is judo and BJJ in my school, what should I do first? My interest is self-defense. I always say judo, and yes, I'm very biased. People call me judo fanboy, etc. But I like to think there's a logical approach to this, because in a real fight, the more contact there is and the longer the fight it's taking, the worst off you are going to be. So this is why I prefer the judo expression of grip, throw, disengage. As much as we like to give crap to judo about the rules, they did establish something really good, which is, hurry up, the do or die mentality. Grip, there's no stalling. You just have to keep the game going. You grip, you try to throw, and if you don't get the throw, you're actually, you're doing something spectator friendly, but it's actually about being in a hurry, do it now, do or die mentality. That's actually very good in a street fight. I recently did a video about the judokas who died on duty and in the dojo, and I've talked about this one police officer who went after an arsonist, and he says, he fought with all his might. That's what the records show, and then he eventually got stabbed in the chest. So the more contact there is and the longer the fight takes, which is very normal in BJJ, because as Joe Rogan cooks it, you're cooking your opponent, the worst off you're gonna be. And also another reason why I prefer judo as opposed to BJJ is, in a street fight you want to be confident standing on your own 2 feet. This is something very I'd say very evident. So you might not have the best newaza because of the rules of today, the groundwork that the older legends had, which is fine, but street self-defense wise, it is much better. I would also advocate strongly to bring back leg grabs to defend against them, and also to know how to do them, which is also very crucial, because we pride ourselves of being kings of the throws, and yet we're not allowed to grab the legs. And to me, this is not something good. So I wanted to make this video because I wanted to show you that the longer the contact, even though you think you have the better position, a lot can go wrong. You can be the best clincher, the best you have the best over underhook, and someone can easily take a chunk out of your ear or your neck. You might have an osaikomi and hold it for too long, and then someone can take out something from their pocket and then just proceed to stab you. So that's why a lot of the arrest pins are usually belly down with the arms behind the back. So if you have anything else to add, please let me know down below. Also consider supporting me on Patreon. I have exclusive content for the patrons only, like behind the scenes, full podcasts, etc. But don't worry, my main content will always be here on YouTube, so please don't feel obliged, but the support would mean greatly. This was Shadi, and thank you for listening.